Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
it's my pleasure.
And congratulations on the Malcolm revival. I thought it was great.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It seemed like a
Whoever thought
natural progr It seemed like a natural progression of where the family would be after all this time.
it does, right? It was like falling off a log, getting back into those characters.
Mm.
Yeah, we were up in Vancouver, so we were all the way from home, and so it was like a little like being at camp or something. Our, families and our usual domiciles weren't around, and we just had a blast. It was just like picking up, like as you said, where we left off, especially since the first thing we filmed was the shaving of Hal's
Well,
undergrowth.
it was nice to see. It was nice to see the call. First of all, the callback. It's second to see that dynamic between the two of them is still there.
Yeah. I think people who never saw it in the first place, the pilot episode, which was, were kind of a little shocked to say, what in the world
Right.
is going on this show? It's like, you know what? Go back and watch the originals.
Right.
You'll see what it's about.
When were you first approached for the project?
Rumors had started circulating, but I kept thinking, no, there's always rumors that things are happening. And then Brian got in touch with us and said, look, guys, this looks like it might really happen. And that was, so exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing was just a delight in the first place. I mean, Malcolm had been passed on by every network in 1999 when we did the pilot. And finally, Doug Herzog at Fox picked it up, and um, wonderful director Todd Holland, who I had worked with on Felicity, uh, was directing it, and I liked him and knew he was smart. And the script was just like it was just incredible. It was like nothing I ever read. The humor was so
Mm.
fresh, um, and then we got on the air, and that was a big hit. And the whole thing just went like I was pregnant the first season and had my baby right around the time it premiered. And when I was told, we've got to go back, it's a hit, they want more episodes, I was like, no, 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 no. I'm 43 years old. I'm nursing a baby.
Right. Right.
I'm not going back. And I thought, no. And then they said that the first episode back was in a water park and I had to be in a swimming suit.
Wow,
Like, be
that's funny.
careful what you wish for,
Right. It's funny when I remember watching the pilot when it aired, and it was pretty clear out of the gate that it was going to be a hit.
Well, we
So
had, in those days, the only ads were on television or
sure,
magazines. There wasn't any social media or anything. But I always remember there was a clip of it of Dewey at the dinner table saying, drink your milk. And he said, I can't, it's lumpy. And Lois says, then chew it, which, as a little pop, just I think got audiences
right,
like
sure.
let's tune into this thing. So yeah, so 25 years later to hear that and Brian, who like spearheaded the whole thing,
Yeah,
I like to
that's
say
great.
he was just tired of killing people on those other shows.
Right, right.
He wanted to come back and be sweet Hal, like goofy Hal, but he was a real uh promoter.
Right.
He was really the one who got Linwood and everybody to think about revisiting this family. So
I will say it's nice. I mean, again, Brian's recent career, it's nice to see him return to
oh my
this
gosh.
comedic form again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's an international star. He works over at the National Theatre in London with Eva Van Hove on classic in American classics, and his other television work and films. I mean, it's just incredible. So our dear little Brian from Canoga Park, has really done well. And
Yeah.
so having him come back as Hal and do the show with us was just a delight.
How would you describe Lois when the series picks up? Where is she in her life?
Well, they kept talking about how that there are fewer children at home, so they don't have as much conflict or stress. They have a little bit more money coming in, but um, I I know that they would put scarves on me. They wanted me to look that we were a little more affluent, and I guess wearing a scarf was a way of saying
Okay.
I was more affluent. As far as I was concerned, I thought Lois is still shopping at Marshalls and TJ Maxx, as I do myself. Um, so maybe the clothes were a little a step up, but you can take the girl out of Milwaukee, but you can't take the Milwaukee out of the girl, as far as I'm concerned. And I've actually been back in Milwaukee a lot. I married my high school boyfriend.
Oh,
Went back for my 50th high school reunion, and he and I reconnected and got married last summer. So I am back in
congratulations. That's wonderful.
Milwaukee. So life is very good.
You have some really nice moments with Frankie, some tender and some manic as per usual.
Yeah.
And you have obviously the great chemistry with Brian again. Can you just talk about picking up after 20 years almost of ending? Was there any kind of reassessing each other and getting to know each other's, acting habits, or is it right out of the gate?
Oh, it
You're
was so, I think the reason we got these parts in the first place was we clicked and it was like falling off a log. It
sure,
just got picked up. The thing that though did surprise us when Frankie was uh, doing one of the speeches at the party, Brian and I looked at each other and were like, "This kid's pretty good." And he was, I mean, he was good as a child actor, as a young actor, but
sure,
that doesn't always parlay into being an adult, a good actor as an adult. I mean, he really has chops. And we were like, Frankie, if you ever considered acting, this might be, don't give up your day job of
right.
racing cars,
Race your cars,
but you
right.
might want to dabble in this. We were really impressed with what a mature, good actor he's grown into.
Had you had any thoughts about where Lois and the family would be going into this? Was there any kind of your own fan fiction of, where your character might evolve to and how it's different from, what we see?
No, no, I think I always relied so much on those writers, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. And
Okay.
I never, some people would think, oh, she's so horrible. I never did anything on that show that I couldn't see myself doing in real life, which is frightening. And
Interesting. Right. Yeah.
I said there was only one incident, and it was an episode where Lois has to ride her bike in a some like a marathon or something, and she doesn't know how to ride a bike. And Reese teaches her, and she's warning Reese not to tell anybody that she doesn't know how to ride a bike. And she takes Reese's head, they're in an alley, and she takes Reese's head and holds it down over some broken glass and says, if you tell anybody, and the camera, shot is the broken glass and Reese's face and me.
Right.
And I was like, I would not have held my child's head to broken glass. I would have held it over dog poop, but not broken
Right.
glass.
As
So I
most
want to make that
mothers
clarification.
would.
Yeah.
The revival debuted to great numbers, getting great reviews. What do you think resonates with the audience after all this time?
Really good old-fashioned comedy. We did that pilot in 1999. Clinton was still president and John Kennedy was still alive.
Right.
Um, for those of us who even know who John Kennedy was and
Right.
Clinton, um, that was a long time ago. When you think about what's happened in this country since and the cynicism and greed and um, the boom of technology, that is terrifying to people. I have no idea. Watching television, ads on television, I have no idea what they're selling. You know, something to do with IT, something. I have no idea. And I would
That's fair.
imagine I'm not alone in that. And I think watching something like this it's just, it's just funny. It's the way people slipping on a banana peel is funny. People falling down is funny. I'm sorry. Not that we fall down or on
Right.
banana peels, but it's a bunch of kids who are just naughty, the originals,
Right.
and they have to be really, really clever to get away with something because they've got this eagle eye, their mom looking out. So the hijinks are very well thought out, and Lois catching them or whatever is very thought out and surprising. And
Right.
then you've got Hal, this wonderful guy who's just kind of love for his kids and love for his wife and the glue that holds us all together. And I think it's just I think it's comforting to to see these characters that are so familiar to so many people,
Right.
but to people who aren't familiar with them, they're I think people want to welcome into their lives because it just kind of reminds them of a simpler time, if that's yeah, that's possible.
Sure, sure. The anniversary party episode lent itself to a lot of familiar faces, which is really nice. But one new face was Finn Wolfhard, which
Ah,
I'm just curious
me
if you know
too.
how that came about, how Finn became kind of
Do you
the
know what happened? He loved the show. He called his agent or somebody and said, call them and see if there's something I can do on the show. And they were like, okay. I couldn't believe it. They've always put up the pictures of the actors,
right,
in the room. And we were going in to rehearse. And I saw his, I was like, that kid from Stranger Things is going to be on our show. You're always surprised that anybody knows who you are, that they know
right.
what your show is. And I must admit, I watched Stranger Things, and I had to have help from my daughter because it got a little confusing what was happening, and I was very grateful to have her hold my hand and guide me through what was happening. But what a romp that was, and it was just wonderful that he was such a fan of the show.
Speaking of Stranger Things, you got to work with the Duffer Brothers on the
Yes.
Burrows. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it was funny when my agent called me and said they just wanted to do a Zoom call, and the character's name was Lily. I play people named Barb and Lois. I don't think I've ever been cast as anyone named Lily. And I wore a pink linen blouse. I wanted to look beloved. And the kick was I was working with Alfred Molina. This was our fifth time working together, he and
Oh,
I.
wow.
So we know each other from theater.
Sure.
We did our first play together in 2016 and have done 4 or 5 other things. This was our fifth time working together. And he and I are on the board together at the Pasadena Playhouse and know each other socially. He lives right around here. So that was just wonderful to be working with him again and feel so comfortable. And um, it was a wonderful handful of scenes. And also just having to act with Thunder Road in the background, probably the greatest song ever written,
Right.
was very romantic. And then dying and coming back to life and being so beloved by Fred um, it was wonderful. It was just a wonderful experience.
That's great. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to thank you again, and congratulations. I'm really happy for the success of this revival.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.